If I told you there's a marketplace in Europe with 5.9 billion euros in revenue, that's nearly 5 times larger than Amazon in that same market, and almost no international sellers know about it. Would you want to hear more? Because here's the thing. While you're competing on Amazon Europe, there's a marketplace where international competition is minimal, the infrastructure rivals Amazon, and the opportunity is massive. I'm talking about Bol, and if you've never heard of it, you're not alone. This is exactly why it's such a huge opportunity. My name is Rutger, and I'm a marketer from Markt Mentor. We specialize in e-commerce data and insights for the Netherlands and Belgium, and we've been following Bol's growth for years. And in that time, I've seen international sellers completely overlook what might be one of the most accessible expansion opportunities in Europe. So in this series, I'm going to explain everything you need to know about Bol. What it is, why it matters, how to know if it's right for your products, and exactly how to get started. This first video is all about the opportunity. After that, we'll dive into market research, account setup, and optimization. But first, let's discuss why almost no one outside the Netherlands and Belgium knows about this platform and why that's actually an advantage for you. This is what most international sellers don't realize. In the Netherlands and Belgium, Bol isn't just a marketplace, it is the marketplace. Let me give you the numbers. Bol's performance in 2024. In 2024, they did a total trade volume of 5.9 billion. In the Netherlands, it was about 88% of revenue, which equals 5.2 billion. In Belgium, 12% of revenue was about 708 million. And this is really important. 47% of Bol's platform revenue comes from marketplace partners. That means nearly half of this 5.9 billion opportunity comes from third-party sellers like you. Now let's compare this to Amazon in the Netherlands. Comparing e-commerce revenue for Bol and Amazon in 2025, Bol did 4.7 billion and Amazon Netherlands 1 billion. So Bol does 4.7 times the revenue of Amazon in the Netherlands. Not double, not triple, nearly 5 times as large. To put this in perspective, let's look at the top 10 web shops in the Netherlands by revenue in 2025. At number 1, Bol, with over 4.6 billion. At number 2, Albert Heijn with over 2 billion, the largest supermarket chain. At number 3 is Coolblue, with over 1.5 billion. At number 4 is Zalando, 1.04 billion, and Amazon comes in at number 5 with 1 billion. Bol generates about as much revenue as the next 3 competitors combined, Albert Heijn, Coolblue, and Zalando. So this is truly absolute market dominance in the Dutch e-commerce landscape. Now you might wonder, how did Bol become so dominant? The answer is timing, geography, and digital culture. Bol launched in March 1999, right at the start of e-commerce in Europe, and they had an immediate unique advantage. The Netherlands was already one of the most digitally advanced countries in Europe, and it still is. Let me explain what makes the Netherlands so uniquely digital. The Netherlands is a country that embraced digital technology early and completely. This isn't just about e-commerce. This is embedded in the culture. Think about digital payments. While many European countries in the 2000s were still heavily reliant on cash, the Netherlands was already shifting to digital. In 2005, Dutch banks created Ideal, a uniform online payment system allowing consumers to pay directly from their bank accounts. Today, Ideal processes 70% of all e-commerce transactions in the Netherlands. That's not a credit card system, those are direct bank-to-bank transfers. And 96% of Dutch consumers use online banking. The Netherlands ranks 4th in the entire EU for contactless and mobile payments. Cash is hardly used anymore. It accounts for only 11% of transactions. The Dutch have transitioned to a nearly cashless society faster than almost any other country in Europe. And you can see it in the current e-commerce adoption figures for 2024. The Netherlands at 94%, ranked number 2 in Europe, only behind Ireland. Belgium at 75%, number 10 in Europe. Think about what this means. In the Netherlands, 94% of internet users buy goods or services online. This isn't a recent adoption. This is a population that's been comfortable with e-commerce for over 2 decades. So when Bol launched in March 1999, they didn't enter a fully mature digital market. They entered a market that was becoming increasingly digital. In 1999, the Netherlands already had higher internet penetration than most European countries, and there was growing trust in online transactions. But the real transformation happened in the years that followed, as the Netherlands developed its digital infrastructure. Ideal launched in 2005, early contactless payment adoption, building robust online banking systems. Bol evolved along with this digital transformation. While other European countries were still building trust in e-commerce and figuring out payment systems, Bol was the Dutch marketplace growing up with this digital evolution. That's why Bol's market position is so strong today. They didn't just launch early, they grew alongside the digital transformation of the Netherlands. And there's more. The Netherlands doesn't just have high e-commerce adoption, it combines this with significant purchasing power. The Netherlands is in this unique quadrant: a large economy, high GDP per capita, and world-leading e-commerce penetration. Very few countries achieve this combination. Let's talk about the economic scale. The Netherlands is the 5th largest economy in the EU, Belgium the 7th largest, or consider the purchasing power. The Netherlands ranks 4th in the EU for GDP per capita at 68,000. Belgium ranks 7th in the EU for GDP per capita at 56,000. So you have wealthy, digitally engaged consumers who are already comfortable with buying online. But this is what makes logistics so efficient: geography. The Netherlands is a small, compact country with over 18 million people and exceptional infrastructure. To give some perspective, for example, the whole country is about the size of Maryland, or roughly the same as New Jersey and Massachusetts combined. Here, the Netherlands could fit into Texas nearly 17 times. This compact geography means that logistics are incredibly efficient. You can reach almost any customer within 24 hours, easily. Belgium is similarly compact with nearly 12 million people and sits right next to the Netherlands with seamless logistical connections. This combination, early digital adoption, compact geography, dense population, high purchasing power, strong infrastructure, created the perfect environment for an e-commerce marketplace to flourish. And Bol was there from day one. You can see it in how Bol operates today, their logistical network, their digital tools, their sales infrastructure. It's all highly refined because they've been perfecting it for over 25 years. This isn't a marketplace that's still figuring things out. This is a mature platform with proven systems, and this is what makes it even more strategic. When you sell on Bol, you don't just get access to the Netherlands, you also get access to Belgium through the same platform. Belgium represents 12% of Bol's total trade volume, which is about 700 million. And although that is smaller than the Netherlands, it is still a substantial market. Belgium has nearly 12 million people with strong purchasing power and high digital adoption. The e-commerce market there is 17 plus billion euros and is growing faster than the EU average. And most importantly, Bol is the leading marketplace in Belgium. Just like in the Netherlands, they dominate the online marketplace landscape. So with one account and one inventory pool, you reach two prosperous Western European markets where Bol is the clear marketplace leader. That is the strategic advantage. Now let's discuss what this means for you as a seller. When you sell on Bol, you don't just get access to the Netherlands, you get access to the Netherlands and Belgium through a single platform. This visualization shows something powerful. Bol has 87% penetration in the Netherlands and 70% in Belgium, both well above the EU average on a single platform. Let's put the combined opportunity into perspective. The Netherlands plus Belgium together, a total GDP of about 1.9 trillion, a combined population of nearly 30 million people, both in the top 10 EU economies, both with above average purchasing power, and both with high e-commerce adoption. And this is important. You don't split your efforts across multiple marketplaces. One account, one inventory pool, two countries. And these are not small markets on the edge of Europe. This is core Western Europe with high purchasing power and established e-commerce behavior. The Netherlands and Belgium are at the heart of European logistics. Major ports, strong infrastructure, and they are right next to Germany, France, and the United Kingdom. From a strategic standpoint, if you want to build a presence in Europe, this is a very logical place to establish yourself. What you see here is that the Netherlands in particular represents Europe's largest digital economy. Belgium adds complementary scale. Together, these markets give you access to nearly 30 million digitally savvy, high-value consumers through a single marketplace. This is where it gets really interesting for you as an international seller. Right now, the vast majority of sellers on Bol are Dutch and Belgian companies, international sellers. They represent a very small portion of the total seller base. Think about what that means for competition. On Amazon, you compete globally. Someone in China can offer the same product that you are selling. Someone in Germany can undercut your price. You're in a constant race. On Bol, that dynamic doesn't exist yet, at least not to the same extent. We're not just speculating here, we also have real proof. In a moment, I'll show you specific Bol Native brands. Brands that built their entire business on this platform, which are now in the top 100 brands on Bol, competing directly with global giants like Apple, Samsung, and Nike. But first, let's talk about competition levels. Let's be clear right away, there is competition on Bol. The platform has 1,000 active sellers. These aren't established companies that know the market, but international competition is minimal, and that creates an opening. Let me give you an example. We've analyzed product categories that might have 105 to 200 active sellers on Amazon Germany. On Bol, that same category might have 30 to 50 sellers, and most of them are domestic. It's not that there's no competition, it's that the competition is more manageable, especially if you have experience with Amazon systems and know how to optimize listings, manage stock, and handle customer service. If you're successful on Amazon, you already have the core skills needed for BOL. You're just applying them in a less saturated environment. Now you might be thinking, is this actually a professional platform with real infrastructure? Here's what I can tell you from my work in this sector. Bol has built a complete ecosystem. We're talking about a full logistics network called Logistics via Bol, comparable to Amazon's FBA. Integrated payment processing, connected shipping partners throughout Europe. A robust API that connects with inventory management systems, repricing tools, and analytics platforms. Dedicated seller support teams. Compare this to other European marketplaces currently trying to gain traction. Many of them are still building their ecosystem. Bol has had 25 plus years to refine theirs. This is important because it means you can scale. The infrastructure can handle growth. Now let's also talk about what you can actually sell on BOL. Bol covers an extensive range of product categories. Let me show you the breakdown by market share in both the Netherlands and Belgium. The top 10 categories by market share. Number 1, electronics, the dominant category. At number 2, toys, strong performance, especially seasonal. At number 3, personal care, always a consistent demand. At number 4, household. At number 5, home living. At number 6, health products. At number 7, cooking and dining, so kitchen appliances and supplies. At number 8, DIY, tools and home improvement. At number 9, baby products, a high engagement category. And at number 10, sports, equipment and clothing. And the platform covers 28 different product categories in total. From electronics and toys at the top all the way to specialized categories like music, movies and series, and even Christmas as a seasonal category. As you can see, this is an extensive marketplace. If you sell physical products in almost any category on Amazon Europe, there's likely a corresponding category and customer demand on BOL. The consumer behavior exists, the purchasing power exists, the logistics exist. What's different is the competitive landscape, and that's where your opportunity lies. This is something very interesting about the BOL marketplace. You compete alongside both global giants and successful local brands. Looking at the top 100 brands on BOL by market share, you see global brands with a major presence. At number 1, Philips, a Dutch multinational. At number 2, Lego. At number 3, Apple, an electronics leader. Samsung at number 12. Nintendo at number 18. Bosch at number 32. Nike at 65. Canon 85. Bol Native brands competing successfully include iMotion at number 13, BTH 22, Nuance 35, Oronic 39, Strex 44, Freeze 54. Kitchen Brothers, also part of Life Goods, 63. Vivid Green 77. This is really interesting. Note that Oronic at 39 and Kitchen Brothers at 63 are actually both owned by the same company, namely Life Goods Group. Life Goods Group is a Dutch online first brand house that owns multiple consumer goods including Oronic and Kitchen Brothers, both in Bol's top 100. They also own Life Goods, MOA and Travel More. Think about that for a second. One company has built several brands that each rank in the top 100 on Bol, competing alongside global corporations. This isn't a coincidence, this is a repeatable model. They understood the Dutch and Belgian markets, optimized for Bol's platform, built brands that resonated with local consumers, and are scaling systematically. This is what this really means for you. 8 Bol Native brands appear in the top 100, successfully competing against global giants like Nike, Canon, and Kercher. These aren't multinational corporations with unlimited budgets. These are brands that started on Bol and built their business on this platform. If they can build a brand that stands alongside Apple and Samsung, you can do that too with your own brand. You don't have to be an international enterprise to succeed here. You need the right products, the right market understanding, and the right optimization strategy. Now, let's put this into perspective across European marketplaces. Amazon is the most saturated, it's global, it's hyper-competitive, and breaking through as a new brand requires massive resources. But besides Amazon and Bol, there aren't many other large online marketplaces in Europe with this combination of consumer scale and purchasing power. You have some regional players, Allegro in Poland, eMag in Romania, Cdiscount in France, but none of them combine the market dominance, the affluent consumer base, and the limited international competition that Bol offers. Specifically in the Netherlands and Belgium, Bol isn't just another option, it is the dominant marketplace. That makes it what you might call the optimal entry point for European expansion. A market large enough to matter, sophisticated enough to scale, and still open enough to reward well-executed strategies. But this window won't stay open forever. As more international sellers discover Bol, competition will increase. Right now, it's one of the best opportunities in European e-commerce. Now, let me give you some specific examples of who is successful on this platform. Life Goods Group, a multi-brand company with at least 2 brands in the top 100. Oronic at 39 and Kitchen Brothers at 63. Vivid Green, number 77, built an 8 million turnover business on Bol, specializing in consumer electronics and lifestyle products. These are established sellers who have built substantial businesses on BOL. Now, I'm not suggesting you'll reach multi-million euro turnover right away. Building any business takes time and effort, but what these examples show is that the platform can support significant scale. The infrastructure is there, the consumer demand is there, and for international sellers who understand marketplace dynamics and already have successful products, the path to building a profitable channel on Bol is very clear. The platform works. The question is whether it's the right match for your specific product and business model. And that's what we'll explore in the next videos. Now, I wanted to get direct insight from Bol itself about what they see with international sellers and how the platform actually works. So I contacted Patricia from Bol. She leads the team that is actually responsible for onboarding and supporting international sellers. And what she told me was truly enlightening. First, let's talk about the actual process of getting started. One of the biggest questions international sellers have is how complex is onboarding? And this is roughly what that process looks like. You apply through Bol's partner portal. They review your company details, things like your business registration, your track record in Europe, and your sales history. Once you're approved, you'll get access to the seller dashboard. And if you're already familiar with Amazon Seller Central, the interface should feel intuitive. It's designed for sellers who understand marketplace operations, but this really stood out to me, the level of support Bol offers. Unlike some marketplaces where you're basically on your own after signing up, Bol has built a structured onboarding program. You get a dedicated account manager during the onboarding phase, full documentation in English, step-by-step guides for everything, technical support for API integrations when connecting inventory management systems, guidance on logistics options including their logistics via Bol fulfillment service, best practices for listings, optimization specifically for the Dutch and Belgian markets. This is the infrastructure you'd expect from a mature platform, and Bol has been doing this for over 25 years. They've refined the seller experience to the point where it's truly streamlined. So here's a practical question. How long does it actually take to go from signing up to your first sale? That's realistic if you're prepared. If you've already identified and sourced your products, your logistics are worked out, your listings are ready to upload, then you're looking at weeks to go live and generate sales. Compare that to building visibility on Amazon in a new European market. You could be running and optimizing ads for months before you get any meaningful traction. Now let's talk about language, because this is the concern I hear most often from international sellers. How do I handle customer service in Dutch? Here's the requirement. Bol expects you to handle customer inquiries in Dutch for written communication and in English for phone support. But, and this is important, AI translation tools are explicitly allowed for written responses. So in practice, many international sellers use translation tools directly integrated into their customer service platform, AI-assisted response systems for FAQs, multilingual customer service teams, either in-house or outsourced, and Bol's own seller support for complex customer issues they can't handle. And this is the reality. The majority of customer inquiries are standardized. Shipping status, return policy, product specifications. These are questions you can handle with template responses. Once translated, used repeatedly, even if you don't speak Dutch. For edge cases or complex issues, you can work with local customer service providers. There are VA companies in the Netherlands that specifically serve international sellers on Bol. Logistics is another area where Bol has made it easier for international sellers. Bol offers logistics via Bol, their version of FBA. They handle your storage, pick and pack, shipping to customers, return processing, even questions about logistics. Alternatively, you can use the Bol EU return label, a standardized return system with competitive rates that makes returns easy for customers. And the point is, you don't have to build your own logistics infrastructure in the Netherlands and Belgium. The infrastructure exists, it's proven, and it's accessible to international sellers. Now, Patricia also shared something interesting about growth. Bol grew more than 8% year over year in 2024. They're now at 5.9 billion in trade volume, with almost half of that coming from marketplace partners. That's significant because it tells you two things. First, the market is still growing. This isn't a stagnant platform. There's momentum. Second, Bol is actively investing in the partner ecosystem. When 47% of your revenue comes from external sellers, you have a vested interest in making sure those sellers are successful. So I asked Patricia, what are international sellers doing wrong? And that is a crucial insight. Many international sellers think I'm successful on Amazon Germany, so I'll just upload the same listings on Bol. But the Dutch and Belgian markets aren't just smaller versions of Germany or France. They have specific characteristics like language preferences, shopping behavior patterns that differ from other European markets, seasonal trends linked to local holidays like King's Day or Sinterklaas, and category preferences that don't perfectly mirror Germany or the United Kingdom. The sellers who succeed are the ones who treat this as a separate market. They localize their listings well. They adjust their pricing to what the market expects. They optimize for how Dutch and Belgian consumers actually search and shop. That's why market research, which we'll cover in detail in the next video, is so important. So I asked one last question. What actually distinguishes the sellers who succeed on Bol from those who struggle? So Bol's message is clear. They welcome international sellers. The infrastructure is there. The support exists. So the opportunity is real, but you have to approach it strategically. It's not just about offering products, it's about understanding the market, optimizing for local preferences, and using the right tools to track and adjust performance. That's what this series helps you with. Let's discuss the requirements for selling on Bol as an international seller. Currently, they require that you already generate at least 500,000 in revenue within Europe. If you're already selling on Amazon Europe with reasonable volume, there is a good chance you meet or are approaching this threshold. If you're not there yet, this is why this video is still relevant. First, requirements can evolve. As Bol continues to expand its international seller base, these thresholds may adjust. Second, understanding this opportunity now means you can position yourself more strategically as you grow. That's also how you should think about Bol in your broader strategy. This isn't about replacing Amazon. This is about diversification and expansion. You're already sourcing products. You're already creating listings and managing inventory. You're already running ads and handling customer service. Adding Bol means taking those same products and those same operations and placing them before a new audience with less international competition and with infrastructure that makes it manageable. You're not doubling your workload, you're expanding your reach within Europe and reducing your dependence on a single marketplace. So that's how this series is structured as well. This video covered the opportunity, what Bol is, why it's important, and why it represents a significant opportunity for international sellers. The next video focuses on market research. Before you invest time or resources in setting up an account, you need to answer specific questions. Is there demand for your product on Bol? Who are your competitors in this market? What are the typical price points and what is the search volume and traffic potential? You need data to make informed decisions, and I'll show you exactly how to collect that data with research tools specifically built for Bol, including Mark Mentor's platform. The third video will be a complete account setup walkthrough, step by step from application to launching your first products, and the fourth video covers optimization and ongoing management. How to track performance, monitor competitors, improve visibility, and scale your operations. The key to the story is to follow these steps in order. First research, then setup, then optimization. Skipping the research phase is how sellers waste time and resources in new markets. So if you're serious about exploring Bol, start by understanding your specific opportunity in this market. This is what you need to do now. First, subscribe to this channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next videos in this series. Leave a comment and let me know. Are you currently selling in Europe? Which product categories are you in? And had you heard of Bol before you saw this video? I read the comments and will answer questions where I can. Expanding to a new marketplace always brings a certain level of risk, but it should be a calculated risk based on data. And right now, the data for Bol looks very favorable for international sellers who have experience with marketplace operations. The infrastructure is established, the demand is substantial, international competition is limited. The question is whether you will be among the early movers in this market. I'll see you in the next video.